Does anyone in the audience remember playing a game when they were a kid called Follow the Leader? I'm sure you do. Essentially, the way the game works is that one kid is designated as the leader of the game. And they can tell the rest of the group to do pretty much anything. Run up the hill, touch your toes, touch the tree, jump over the puddle. You get the idea. Harmless fun, right? And I was thinking about this the other day. And it's kind of funny how we chose the leaders of these games. Because it wasn't some logical process where we'll choose Dave because he's the most rational, the most reasonable. No. In fact, thinking about it now, I can't remember a single time where we actually chose our leaders. And it's kind of funny. Every day, we seem to mistake confidence for competence. Because studies have shown over and over and over that those that are more loud, confident, boisterous are usually trusted more, even when they're completely wrong. I mean, just think about the last meeting you were in, the last group project you were a part of. Who was speaking the most? Was it really the person with the most unique ideas, the most knowledge on the topic? Or was it just the person that wanted to talk the most? Because this isn't some sort of feature of our brains. It's a glitch. Because of something known as the Dunning-Kruger effect. Some of you may be aware of that. It was this famous study in 1999, right? These two guys, Dunning and Kruger, yes, found this almost cognitive paradox in our minds. They found that the people that were often the least competent in whatever field they were researching believed that they were the most competent. And this was found in everything from music, politics, sports, musicians, social media, everything. And ironically, we believe them because they just seem so sure of themselves. But real talk, being able to pause, observe, and then take strategic action is invaluable. Trust me. I mean, just think of the infamous marshmallow experiment from Stanford. Basically, they took these little kids, right, and put them in a room, one by one. Now, the scientists, their lab coats, they came up to them and said, now, young man, young lady, how would you like this marshmallow? Now, wait. You could have it once I leave the room, or you could wait just 15 minutes and have 2 marshmallows. Now, immediately, before the scientists had even finished their sentence, some of the kids had already eaten it. And I mean, they can be forgiven. They were like 4 or 5 years old. But incredibly, some of the kids were able to wait. Even at their young ages, their young minds, they were able to pause, observe, and take strategic action, which in this case was delaying by 15 minutes, which to a child was endless. And I'm telling you this, not just because it's interesting, but because they followed these kids like years, decades later, right? And they found that those same kids that were able to delay their action had higher test scores, had lower rates of obesity, had easier times managing stress, and let's not kid ourselves, just had better lives. And this translates easily into the realm of leadership and management. Some of the best bosses are the ones that can pause, observe, and take strategic action. In fact, a study from Google found that it can even surpass technical skill in terms of valuable tools. It reminds me of this honestly hilarious story about Steve Jobs in 2001, right? So he's in this like big business room, right, with a bunch of businessmen and engineers, and everyone's excited because they've just designed the prototype for the first ever iPod. Now, of course, the engineers are feeling proud of themselves, puffed out chests, just designed a modern marvel of engineering. And they give it to Steve Jobs, for him to inspect it. And he doesn't say anything. Doesn't start critiquing them or praising them. Just looks at it. Now they're, feeling a bit nervous, sharing glances like, is there a problem, sir? Doesn't say anything. Eventually he gets out of his chair, right? And he walks across the room, takes the iPod, and bloop, drops it into the nearby fish tank. Now, to say that the room was quiet before he did this would be an understatement now. You could hear a pin drop. The only sound was bubbles gurgling from the iPod. Now, finally, Jobs said something. He said, and I quote, "You see those bubbles? That means there's empty space. Make it smaller." Like, that's it. Crazy, right? No big speech, no shouting match, no argument. Just Jobs pausing while everyone else was loud, observing this piece of technology and taking strategic, if unorthodox, action. But don't think that he invented this, not by a long shot. It's older than him, it's older than me, it's older than literally everyone. This building. One of the first cases of this was from a story that sounds like fiction, but is completely true. It was like 200 AD, right? Ancient China, the War of the Three Kingdoms. And there was this ancient general, Zhu Liang, and he's sitting calmly on the wall of the city. Now behind him is an abandoned city. And in front of him is an oncoming armada of 150,000 soldiers. Their war drums pounding on the earth, their spears glistening in the sun, all with a plan to pillage the city and take Zhu Liang's head. And yet, Zhu Liang is sitting there, completely calm. No army, no weapons, just him and his robe. And eventually the army gets there. They're like arrows' width from the city. And this infamous conqueror, he comes to the front and decked out in his armor, and he sees something that makes his jaw drop. The entrance to the city is left completely open. No soldiers, no guards, just Zhu Liang sitting there, watching them, almost begging them, "Please come inside." Now, this was something none of them were prepared for. And after what felt like an eternity, this move would go down literally in history. That's why I'm telling it to you. They sent the entire army to retreat. Like, think about that. That's insane, right? Zhu Liang, this one guy, had just bested an entire army of 150,000 soldiers, mind you. Not with a sword, not with a bow and arrow, not even with words. And yet he had won. And why? Well, simple. When he first found out that the army was approaching, he didn't start screaming and panicking, looking everywhere. Of course not. He was able to pause, observe, and take strategic action. Now I know what you're thinking, right? Thando, great story, really, amazing. But how can I apply this? Okay, I'm not a tech CEO, nor am I a Chinese conqueror, which is fair, I'm not either. But in this digital age, where we're almost drowning in information, this age is rampant with AI, Google, hot takes, opinions left and right, all instant, all loud. And yet, the real change makers, the real innovators, aren't going to be the ones that can yell the loudest to try to be heard. No. So, I'd like to leave you with this. The next time that you're in a crowded room, filled with people trying to get their thoughts and opinions out, and you think that you have ideas worth sharing, I mean, what TEDx is built on, what I'm doing right now, you don't have to scream over them to be heard. All you need to do, in my opinion at least, is pause, observe, and take strategic action. Thank you.